Hello, dear students. Welcome once again back to the discussion on fluid solid separation techniques under the course Particulate Technology. So, let us now study another operation that involves fluid solid separation operation called sedimentation. So, before I take you to the sedimentation and discussions on it, let us just go back and recollect what you learned in the previous session. So this is the objective we are expecting the student to achieve at the end of the course. So this is the course outcome of the third unit. So the student will be able to attain these outcomes once he finishes studying this particular unit. So this is a recap of the previous session. So here we learned about the different types of centrifuges. So if you go back and recall, so we learned about how the semi-continuous centrifuge is designed and how it is operated to separate the solids from a slurry. So then we also learned the various designs of the continuous centrifuge machines, the Bird continuous centrifuge. Then we saw the vertical solid ball continuous centrifuge. Then we also learned the disc type of centrifuge and how it is constructed and how it is operated and what are the specific applications of each equipment that also we learned in the previous class. So these are the contents of the present session. So here we are going to take up the another important solid fluid separation operation called sedimentation. So in this particular class, I'm going to tell you about the principles and applications of sedimentation operation. So under this discussion, we are going to learn about a topic called terminal settling velocity. So what is meant by terminal settling velocity and what role it plays in the sedimentation operation that we'll be learning. So what are the different mechanisms of settling of the particles takes place in sedimentation operation and the types of settling will be taken up. So after that we are taking up one topic titled batch sedimentation test. So in which we are studying the mechanism of separation of solids in a batch sedimentation operation. Okay. So that is an overview of the topics that we are taking up in today's class. So now let us understand what is meant by sedimentation. So I told you the definition of sedimentation in the starting class of the third unit. So sedimentation is that operation in which the gravity force is applied to the contents of a slurry and the settling of the solids takes place under the influence of gravity. In that way we can separate the solids from liquids. So the separation of solids from a suspension in a liquid by applying gravity settling process is known as sedimentation. So if centrifugal force is a driving force in centrifugation, then the gravity force is the driving force for separation to occur in sedimentation. So it is the gravitational force that is responsible for the settling of the particles in a given liquid. That is, so how the motion takes place in the given liquid to separate the solids from liquids is depending upon the gravitational force acting on the solids. So at the end of the sedimentation operation, we get two products. One is the clear liquid that can be taken out from the top of the sedimentation apparatus. The other one is the settled solids that can be taken out from the bottom as a slurry of a high solid content. Okay, it's also called as a thickened slurry or thickened sludge that can be taken out from the bottom of the vessel, and that is another product of the operation. The equipment in which the sedimentation is carried out is called as a thickener, and door thickener is that type of sedimentation equipment in which a continuous sedimentation is carried out to separate solids from liquids. So we will be studying in the further discussion about this door thickener, its construction, operation and applications. So that is all about the introduction about sedimentation. Let us now understand or have a look at the important applications of sedimentation operation. So in industry, the wastewater comes out which needs certain kind of treatment before disposal. So to make it not harmful to the environment. So in that wastewater treatment process, the liquid that is coming out might contain solid suspension. So before you treat the liquid, the solids have to be separated and they are to be given separate treatment before disposal. So that removal of solid from the wastewater that is coming out of an industry is the one place where you require the application of sedimentation operation. So that is one of the important application. Then in the treatment of water, before it is being sent for human needs, has to go through several steps where different kinds of impurities are removed from water. So one such impurity present in water which is to be removed is the suspended solid particles. That is minute solid particles, so which will be present in water in the form of suspension makes it impure. To separate those suspended particles also require a sedimentation application. That is another place where you use sedimentation operation as an application. So these are the important applications where we find sedimentation to be a useful operation to separate solids from liquids. Let me now tell you about a topic called terminal settling velocity or terminal falling velocity. See, the sedimentation is that operation in which the solids are separated from liquids by making them settling to the bottom under the influence of gravitational force. So, whenever a particle settles in a stationary column of liquid, it will be acted upon by various kinds of forces. It's not just the gravitational force that is acting on the particle. The gravitational force acting on the particle will make the particle to move in the downward direction and settle to the bottom. At the same time, another force called drag force will be acting on the particle which actually resists the settling of the particle. So initially, when the settling starts, the gravitational force will be dominating. So the velocity of the settling particle initially increases. So after the particle has settled for a certain height, the drag force will become equal to the gravitational force. That means there is a balance between the drag force and the gravitational force acting on the particle. So from that point onwards, the velocity of the settling particle will remain constant. And that constant velocity reached by a settling particle is called as a terminal settling velocity. Okay. So whenever a particle is allowed to settle in a fluid under the influence of gravity, its velocity initially increases due to the accelerating force of gravity being dominant in the initial stages. When this accelerating force is exactly balanced by the resisting force of drag force, then the particle will settle with a constant velocity. Till then, you will see that the velocity of the particle keeps increasing. Okay, so when that exactly happens, that is when the balance between the drag force and the gravitational force, that is the resisting force and the accelerating force occurs, the particle will reach its final velocity, and from there onwards it will settle with that constant velocity, and that constant velocity is called as terminal settling velocity. The terminal settling velocity for a given particle in a given liquid depends upon the size, shape, and the density of the particle, and also on the density and the viscosity of the fluid in which the settling is taking place. So this is how we can shortly define the terminal settling velocity. The terminal falling velocity or the terminal settling velocity of the particle that is freely settling in a fluid is the constant velocity reached by the particle when the drag force equals the downward force of gravity that is acting on the particle. So that is about the terminal falling velocity. So let us now see what are the different mechanisms by which the particles settle to the bottom in a sedimentation operation. So whenever the particles settle in a liquid, it is influenced by various factors. The settling process will be under the influence of these factors. So, under different conditions of concentration slurry, we will observe different kinds of settling of the particles. So, accordingly, we have two kinds of settling process called free settling and the hindered settling. So, let us now understand what is meant by this free settling and what is hindered settling and what are the differences between the two types of settling process. The free settling means, so whenever a particle is settling in a stationary fluid column, if the settling of that particle is not affected by the other particles and also by the wall of the container, then the settling process is called as free settling process. So we can define the free settling as that process when the fall of the particle or the settling of the particle under the influence of gravity is not affected by the other particle and also by the wall of the container. So in this process, the individual particles will not collide with each other, and also there is no collision between the particle and the wall takes place. Okay, so when the physical interaction between the particles and the wall is not taking place, so that kind of situation can only be achieved when the distance between the settling particles and and between the wall and the particles is large. So you can expect the distance between the particles and the wall of the container to be large only when the amount of solids present in the given suspension is less. So free settling is that process that we can expect to occur in a settling process where the concentration of the solids in the given suspension is low. So that is all about the free settling process. So hindered settling. So hindered settling is quite opposite to free settling. Means if we compare the hindered settling to free settling, so we can easily define what is meant by hindered settling. So hindered settling is that process of settling. So whenever the process of a particle is impeded, means affected by the settling of the other particles and also by the walls of the container. So whenever the particle settles under this condition, it is called as hindered settling condition. So in hindered settling, we can expect the physical interaction between the various particles settling in a given column of liquid, and also there is a physical contact between the settling particles and with the wall of the container. Means individual particles will collide with each other and also collide with the wall of the container. So we can define the settling process as that settling process where the settling of the particle under the influence of gravity in a stationary fluid is affected by the other particles and also with the wall of the container. So as I said earlier, there is a collision taking place between the individual particles and also between the particles and the wall of the container. So to expect a hindered settling to take place, we expect that the particles are lying closer to each other. Okay, so otherwise each particle may not come into contact with each other, then they can easily settle with the free settling process. So the close distance between the particles only occurs when the more number of particles are present in a given slurry. So hindered settling is that settling that takes place whenever the particles are very close to each other and also with the very close to the wall of the container. So this can happen only when the concentration of the particles in the given slurry is high. So for hindered settling to take place, so we require that the concentration of the solid in the given slurry or the suspension is large. So this kind of settling, whether it is a free settling or hindered settling, affects the velocity at which the particles settle to the bottom. So since in hindered settling, the particle settling process is affected by the other particles. So obviously its velocity or the terminal settling velocity of the particle is considerably less compared to the velocity that is attained by a particle under free settling conditions. So let us again compare the free settling and intersettling process to outline the various differences between the two settling mechanisms. The major difference between the free settling and the hindered settling is that in free settling, the particle settling process is never affected by the other particles present and also by the wall of the container. Whereas in hindered settling, the particles settle with that condition where its settling is affected or impeded by the other particles and also by the wall of the container. So in free settling, since the particles are far away from each other, there is no collision between the particles and also the particles will not collide with the wall of the container. So whereas in hindered settling, the particles collide with the container wall and also with the other particles that are closely lying to the particular particle. So if the collisions are occurring, then it's obvious that the particles in the settling conditions are not far away from each other. So they are close to each other and also close to the wall of the container. So that is the third difference between the free settling and the hindered settling. So in hindered settling, the particles are closer to each other and also closer to the wall of the container. But in free settling, the particles are far apart from each other and also far away from the wall of the container. So next difference between free settling and hindered settling is about how the concentration causes the free settling and the hindered settling. So if the concentration of the solid in the given slurry is low or if the slurry is dilute in condition, then we expect that free settling process to take place. So wherever the concentration of the settling particles is high, then what you expect is hindered settling. So free settling is possible when the slurry concentration is dilute or low. Hindered settling is possible whenever the slurry concentration in the given solid concentration in the given slurry is quite high. So this affects the settling velocity also in the two settling mechanisms as I previously told you. So in free settling, the settling velocity is high compared to that in the hindered settling where you observe that the particles settle with a lower velocity. So now let us take up the batch sedimentation test. Here, the batch sedimentation is applied to the slurry from which the solids and liquids have to be separated. So this is a experiment where a glass cylinder is taken and the slurry which is to be settled in the given operation is taken to certain height and it's settling under the gravitational field is observed and that observations will be later analyzed mathematically to design the equipments in which the settling or the sedimentation is to be carried out. So the design of thickeners requires this batch sedimentation test and its analysis to design a particular thickener equipment. So let us now observe how a batch settling test can be carried out. Okay, this figure shows typically how the settling of the particles take place. So in figure A, what we see is a glass cylinder in which the slurry of uniform concentration is taken up to certain height. So when this setup is allowed to settle under constant settling conditions, so then we observe that the settling process proceeds as shown in figure B, C, D and E slowly where the various zones of different concentrations are set up under the batch settling operation. So in figure C, you clearly see the different zones. The top zone is called the clear liquid zone, where all the settles have moved to the bottom zones. Then the second zone is zone B, so where you can see the uniform concentration from top to bottom, having the concentration similar to the concentration of the original pulp or original slurry. So then below zone B, there is another zone called zone C. So this is a zone of variable size distribution and also non-uniform concentration. So that is a zone C which gets set up between zone B and zone D. So zone D is the last zone, so which is observed at the bottom of the column. So here the heavier and the faster settling particles, so which settle initially, will be seen. Okay, so that is zone D. So the each layer will change its size from time to time as shown in figure B, C, D and E. So let us now study in detail how this variation in the thickness of the different zones on different layers that we observe in a batch sedimentation test. So figure A, as I said initially, represents a cylinder containing a newly prepared slurry of uniform concentration of solid particles having the same concentration throughout the mass of slurry as shown in figure A. So when the settling process starts, all the particles start to settle and they'll approach the terminal settling velocity under hindered settling conditions. Since the concentration is large in this situation, so we expect the settling to occur under hindered settling condition. So various zones of concentration will be set up as shown in figure B, as I already explained in the previous slide. So the heavier, faster settling particles are settled in zone D at the bottom of the glass cylinder. So then above zone D is a zone C, which is a zone of variable size distribution and also non-uniform concentration. So the boundary between C and D, so it is the interface between the zone C and D, is obscure, means it's not very clear to see, and it will be marked by the vertical channels through which the fluid is rising from lower zone D as it compresses. So initially the lower zone, that is a bottom zone D, will have the faster settling particles along with the liquid. So after the settling, the zone D will compress as the liquid present will issue from zone D into zone C. So the layer between, that is the interface between zone C and zone D, will be marked by the vertical channels through which the liquid will issue from zone D into zone C as the zone D compresses from time to time. So above zone C is a zone B. Zone B contains uniform concentration having a concentration similar to the concentration of the initial pulp. So pulp is another term that is used to describe the slurry. So whatever concentration that was there initially in the original pulp or the original slurry, the same concentration will be present in the zone B in the observations that is taken up after the settling process has proceeded over a certain period of time. So above zone B is what you have as a zone A, which is a zone that contains a clear liquid. So if your original slurry is closely sized with respect to the smallest particles present, then you can expect that the boundary between zone A and B to be very clear and sharp. So that is all about the different kinds of zones that will be set up during the initial stages of the batch sedimentation test. So as the sedimentation continues, the heights of each zone will vary as shown in the figure. Okay, so initially each zone will have certain height, and the heights of zones will increase or decrease as it is observed after a certain time of settling has started. The heights of zone D and zone A will increase at the expense of zone B, while the zone C remains constant up to certain time. So you can see the third figure here. So if you compare this third figure with the second one, so you might observe here that here the zone A has increased in its height and also zone D has also increased in height. So while the zone C is remain with the constant height, so the height of zone C has not changed much between the figure B and C. So the zone D and A have increased, and at the same time the zone B has reduced in its height. So zone A and zone Z have their height increased at the expense of the height of the zone B. So that is what we have observed. So after a certain time of settling has proceeded. So further settling, we'll see that zone B disappear, and after the zone B has disappeared, after certain time again, the zone C is also disappeared. So at this particular stage, so what you have is only zone A and zone D. So from this point onwards, the zone D will start compressing, and as a result of which you'll see that the height of zone A increases. So when this particular stage is reached, the height of zone D is called the critical point. Okay. So from this point onwards, we expect that the zone D thickness or the height will decrease. So due to the compression of the zone D, and the zone A thickness will increase until a final stage is reached when the zone D and zone A will reach their final height, and that is the end of the settling process. The same kind of settling we can observe in a batch sedimentation apparatus also. So here the figure shows a typical diagram of a batch sedimentation equipment. So here it will be having a cylindrical tank having a shallow depth and a large diameter. So this cylindrical tank has a feed inlet port called feed well. So through which the feed, that is a slurry that is to be separated, enters the cylinder. So there is a centrally rotating rake. This is the revolving rake. So this is meant for agitating the settled solids at the bottom. So in order to move them towards the central outlet, and at the same time, so it will expel the liquid that is present in the solid settled at the bottom to the top. So that is a function of rotating rake. So you can see here the various concentration zones have set up in the settling process. The upper zone is the clarification zone, which mainly contains the clear liquid. So this is a launder, so through which you can take out this clear liquid as a product. So below the clarification zone is the settling zone. So where the particles are in the settling condition. So below settling zone there is a compression zone called the upper compression zone, and below the upper compression zone you have a compression zone. So in this zone the particles which are to be removed from the bottom have settled. So from time to time you can the revolving rake pushes this thick liquid. This is the thick slurry. So that will be taken out from the bottom as a underflow or a bottom product. So two products will be taken out in the operation. One is overflow containing clear liquid. Other one is the underflow taken out from the bottom of the equipment. Okay. So in batch sedimentation operation, the heights of various zones will vary with time. So that variation of the heights of the different zone depends upon the initial concentration and also how the settling of the various solids of different sizes takes place under the given conditions. The same kinds of zones will be set up in the continuous thickeners also, but once the steady process is set up, the heights of each zone will be constant. So, the variation in the heights of the zones in a continuous thickener varies up to a certain time when the steady state is reached. From then onwards, the height of each zone will remain constant and we can carry out the operation continuously to take out the bottom and the overflow top product continuously from the thickener. So this diagram shows how the clear liquid interface, means the height of the clear liquid, will vary with time in a batch settling operation. So initially this is the height of the clear liquid. So since you have the uniform concentration of the original slurry, the height is 0 initially. So once the settling process starts, the clear liquid zone set up at the top of the settling equipment, and that height of the clear liquid will steadily increase and finally attaining a final height. So this is the ultimate height of the clear liquid interface in a settling process. So the settling will be carried out up to this point where the final height of the clear liquid is reached. Okay, so this represents the time at which the final height of the clear liquid is attained in a settling process. Okay, so in the next class we'll take up how we can mathematically analyze the batch settling test to help design a settling equipments, that is thickeners. So whatever we have learnt in this present session, so the videos which contain the present topics have been listed here, so you can watch them to enhance your understanding about the topics. Okay, this is a brief recap of the session. So in today's session, we learned about sedimentation, its principles, applications. We learned about the terminal settling velocity. Also, we understood what is a free settling and inlet settling under the topic types of settling. Then we understood or we learned how batch sedimentation test is carried out and what are the observations that are made during the batch sedimentation test. So with that, let me conclude the session. So before we end, we have to go through a few multiple choice questions. So just take this as a self-assessment test and try to answer these questions. So before I give you the right answer. The first question, sedimentation on a commercial scale occurs in. The options are classifiers, rotary drum filters, thickeners, cyclones. Okay, so in the discussion, I told you that the equipment in which the sedimentation is carried out are called as thickeners. So all of you have guessed the right answer, I believe. So option C is the right answer for this question. Okay, now the second question. The separation of solids from a suspension and a liquid by gravity settling is called. The options: filtration, certification, sedimentation, screening. So gravity settling is applied to the suspension of solids to separate solids from liquids, and that process is called as sedimentation. So option C is the right answer for this question. The third question is coming up. Dash is a common piece of equipment used for sedimentation. So is it a centrifuge? Is it a filter? Is it a thickener? Or is it none of the above mentioned options? So you all know the answer very well. So it is a thickener in which the sedimentation is carried out. So whichever equipment that involves sedimentation principle to separate solids from liquids in a suspension is called as a thickener. So option C is the right answer for the question. The fourth MCQ, particle settling in a liquid attains terminal settling velocity when the gravitational force becomes dash to drag force. So, the terminal settling velocity, as I told you in the discussion, is that constant velocity when velocity that is reached by a settling particle when the accelerating gravitational force becomes equal to the resisting drag force. So the options are greater than or lesser than or equal to, or is it the none of the above options. So as per our understanding of the terminal settling velocity, it is the equal to option that is the right answer for this question. So option C is the right choice to answer this particular question. The next question, dash refers to the process wherein the fall of the particle in a gravitational field through a stationary fluid is not affected by the other particle and the wall of the container. So hope all of you have guessed the answer. So let us see the options given. Impeded settling. Is it called the free settling? Is it called the hindered settling? Is it none of these options? So whenever there is no influence of individual particles on the other particles which are settling, and also there is no influence of the wall of the container, then the particles will freely settle to the bottom. So free settling is the right option for this question. So if the settling of the particles through a stationary fluid is impeded or affected by the other particles and the wall of the container, so then it is called as, is it free settling, is it forced settling, or is it called as hindered settling, or is it called as any other by any other name which is not mentioned in the first three options. So whenever a particle settling is impeded or affected by other particles and the wall of the container, we call that settling process as the hindered settling process. So option C is the answer for this particular question. The last question, the seventh one, the free settling process requires that the concentration of the particulate solids in the suspension is dash. Is it the very high concentration, or is it to be the very low concentration, or is it having a uniform not uniform concentration? So, or if you have some other term for it which is not shown in the first three options, so that you are supposed to decide to answer correctly this particular question. So think about the question and the options and make a right choice. So I hope all of you guess the right answer. It is the option B. So if a free settling process is required, then you have to have a very low concentration of the particulate solids in the given suspension. In which process the particles collide with each other and with the wall of the container. The options, inlet settling, free settling, rapid settling. Is it the none of the above options? So the collision between particles and with the wall of the container takes place in the hindered settling process where the concentration is very high and the particles are very close to each other. So the right option for this question is the first option, hindered settling. So I hope you all learned the concepts very well. So let me thank you for being a part of this session. Okay. So let me take leave for the time being. So again meet you in the next session. So where we are going to take up the equipments in which the sedimentation will be carried out. Thank you very much.